Hey, everybody. Really excited to speak with Eugene this week, who just broke into Elastic. Awesome story. I know you had tons of interviews, and we'll get into what you did to really make you stand out throughout the process. Maybe just setting the stage for everyone, share a little bit about your background and what got you looking at tech sales in the first place.
Absolutely. So, what got me started? I'm gonna start with some jobs I took while I was in college, the ones that are actually relevant to sales. At the height of COVID, I was a remote sales rep for Cutco, so I was basically helping sell knives and everything. And I think if you know, like you're definitely booking your own meetings. You're definitely doing all your cold calls. You're closing people on that same day, and you're also getting a lot of pipeline through referrals. And that's what kind of got me a taste for sales. And then I worked at Ruffle and Noah Levitz at SMU, and we just cold called donors, SMU alums, to donate towards the COVID relief fund. Lots and lots and lots of cold calling and using a CRM. And then fast forward a little bit more, I was doing a real estate internship where I really learned how to present value immediately to real estate professionals. And they kind of set it up as if it was a Shark Tank style competition. So in that cohort, we were competing with one another. We did have teams. We had to prepare investment memos and all that. And then I just wanted more sales experience, picked up a door-to-door job where I was definitely working 5 separate territories simultaneously in the DFW area because I just really, really, really wanted more experience. And it was interesting doing all that in the blazing Texas heat. And then I was like, this is cool. I think I've learned as much as I can learn. Plus, I wanted to break into tech sales. Didn't want to stand door to door forever. And here we are.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love that experience. I'm sure, coming in out of the gate, you've already done things like cold calling that really sets you apart. I'm sure. That being said, maybe before we look at why you chose higher levels specifically, what even made you say, hey, I do want to invest in training, given that you already had some sales experience prior?
Gotcha. Uh, well, number one, the reason why I wanted more training is because I know that trying to sell someone on a meeting for Windows is not the same as business to business tech sales. So I'm like, okay, clearly I'm ignorant. I really need to learn more about it. And so before I even got on these boot camps, I was reaching out to people in my network, my SMU network, my Jesuit network, and just basically my jujitsu network, seeing like, hey, is anyone else here know tech sales? And even in door to door, there were some tech sales people as well. I actually ran into a CSO and CSMO of a tech company, and we like talked for a while. He gave me some resources, and he was like, Eugene, you shouldn't be doing door to door. I can see you're clearly interested in tech sales. Let me give you some resources. Here's my LinkedIn. I'm just connected on LinkedIn. But yeah, I guess that's what really got me on board with higher levels
Yeah,
and
it's awesome.
sports careers.
Yeah, and definitely probing into that too. I know we were talking before the recording. You take course careers first. Ultimately, then you do decide to join higher levels after. Maybe just walking through that progression, your experiences with both programs, and what you felt maybe kind of put you over the edge with higher levels.
I would say, I think course careers definitely was pretty involved because you do have to read 3 books, like you have to read How to Win Friends and Influence People, you have to read Spin Selling, and you also have to read Fanatical Prospecting, amazing books. And just to make sure you're really paying attention, there are also quizzes like in the middle of the course as well, and there's a test. And I mean, there are just so many videos on how to do well. And I would say course careers is really good for people who want to learn the whole landscape of tech sales, to learn the best practices, and really have more of that knowledge of the industry. As far as actually trying to break in, I believe that they could do a little bit better because they do have resources on like how you can break in. Like they show you how to write a proper resume. They show you how to write a proper what's it called, like a professional email banner. So that way, when you actually send these emails to hiring managers, they're like, "Oh, this is probably a real person. It's not just spam, or they're not just phishing." And also, how to make your LinkedIn look more professional. That's all well and good, but it was just definitely challenging adhering to their process to find more opportunities. And then I found some stuff on higher levels. I found the guys actually had a really, really, really involved community. And if anything, I joined higher levels because I was just watching so much of your content. I'm like, this there's some really cool guys. There's some really cool stories. I'm going to join, see what I can learn, try and offer some value as well. And that's all she wrote.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Obviously, great to have you here, and most importantly, get an amazing result, like breaking into quite literally one of the best SDR opportunities in the world right now. Maybe just looking specifically at higher levels, you joined in February. Here we are, early March. You've already broken into Elastic. Is there one or two things that higher levels specifically equipped you with to really excel and get interviews with quite literally like several of the best companies in the world?
Absolutely. I guess higher levels really helped me understand just how grand tech sales is, because I knew that it was very, very, very competitive because everyone was chasing the tech sales trend because they wanted a lot of money. But I guess it really, really helped me realize that becoming an SDR and beyond, it's one of the most entrepreneurial jobs in the world. You have to treat it as such. And the moment that I realized that what I'm selling, i.e., myself as a product, my product has to be really good. That's what really, really helped me become more aggressive in the interview process. And also, it's just really, I want to say it's motivating to go on my phone and look up all the success stories because you guys post your wins, that's pretty cool. It's like, oh, these guys, it's just motivating me to keep on going because I know it's possible, even though I don't have formal SDR experience. And again, you guys chat with each other a lot. You guys are also presenting value. I can learn so much, connect with these guys on LinkedIn. And yeah, it's just a great community.
Yeah, it's awesome. And maybe giving some free value out there for anyone watching too, whether they're part of higher levels or just trying to learn from your experience. We were talking again before the recording. You had interviews, if you're okay with me saying some of the logos like Snowflake, Oracle, Elastic, like quite literally some of the best companies in the world. Maybe the first question being, how do you even get so many interviews with such great companies like that? And then we'll keep peeling it back from there.
You really, really, really have to get in front of the hiring decision makers. Because if you just submit your resume in there, it's just out in the ether. You also have to connect with you have to identify the hiring manager or managers, and you have to see which ones are like the most interested. Sometimes they'll have a banner saying looking to hire, or they'll say, hey, I'm looking for young professionals who are hungry. Please email me at X, Y, and Z email address. So you have to find the right people. And then, yeah, you can cold call them. You can use tools like Apollo. I used Apollo. Apollo's great. And if you don't want to use Apollo, that's fine. Just use Hunter. Hunter's free. So that way you can cold email them, cold message them. And if you have to and you really want to, you can also use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And you have to do that because very few applicants are also doing that. They're not going the extra mile to actually contact them. And then once they finally respond to your emails or to your calls, then you ask them, hey, is there anything I can do to like ensure an interview? Do you need any other documents, any other paperwork, or like anything else? And then, yeah, that's pretty much how you break in. And then you just follow up, show up to the interviews on time and prepared. And I guess that's how you do it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I know, obviously, you mentioned earlier with your sales experience, you've made cold calls, you've done lots of things, you've interacted with a CRM, but you mentioned too, you didn't know the ins and outs of the B2B tech sales world specifically. I know that some of the companies you've mentioned have very intensive interview processes, especially as we get into mock cold calls or presentations or, mock discovery calls, depending on the company you're interviewing with. Is there anything you learned in that process specifically, having had sales experience but never been in that tech world? Is there anything or advice you'd give to someone else that's going through that for the first time?
Yes, absolutely. Just know that I would say for the people who are where that's a surprise for them, you really have to be patient because some of these companies, like you said, they do have multiple round interviews. Like with me and Elastic, the, from the time I submitted my application to receiving the offer letter like in my hand, it took 37 days. So you're not going to be able to just apply and then break into tech sales in like a week. So really be patient. And yeah, some of these companies, they actually want to make sure that you have the chops and you can actually handle the workloads of their companies. So they will be like, hey, I want you to prepare like a presentation like you're an AE. Here's the account, or they'll want you to explain your thought process of why you chose these people to prospect and like, hey, do you have like maybe a brief cold calling script? Can you deal with some of these objections? Do you understand our business well enough that I guess you can deal with these objections and still solve their problems? So do be prepared for that. And also don't be intimidated when it's a panel. Yeah, there may be like 3 or 4 people on the call, but just stay focused on your preparation, breathe, and you'll be fine.
Nice. That's awesome. Obviously got a great result, and not just the result of getting the SDR job at Elastic, but as mentioned, several great interviews. Maybe a final question or two around just advice to your younger self. You've been through this process. You've got some great insights. Anything that you would do differently, or just advice to anyone who's just looking at tech sales for the first time?
Sure. I would say that in the interview process, at least for the first time, I guess don't be too upset that you're sucking at first, because this is going to be an industry where you're going to hear no a lot. You're definitely going to get your teeth kicked in a little bit. And just know that if it's taking you this much effort to break in, then it's probably worth it. Let's see, what else is some really, 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 really good advice? Definitely lean on your network, and I guess be a little bit patient. I'm sounding hypocritical because I mean I'm the jerk who had 4 interviews in one day and had like 7 interviews like in just a week, like, over the course of 7 days. But it's hard for you to, I guess, say stay aggressive yet patient, if that makes sense. Just
Definitely.
find that fine line in between.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, tons of great insights here. If you're cool with it, Eugene, I will throw your LinkedIn below so people can reach out. Don't hit them with a generic question of how do you break into tech sales, but if you have an actually well thought out question, I'm sure Eugene can help. And obviously this video was great. I really appreciate you sharing your perspective. I guess if there's anything else, feel free, but congrats again, Eugene. We're really excited for you. So
Thank you, Eric, and really appreciate it. And I mean, I just don't know what to say. I mean, it's almost not real yet. Like it almost hasn't really sunk in.